Hi, I'm Tim. It all starts when we're about to execute Goldie Roger, the Pirate King, who is the most powerful and richest person in the world. The pirate barnstorming starts because lots and lots of people wanted to get a crew and go to the Grand Line, to the ocean, in search of that treasure. And so begins One Piece, the saga of S Blue in a nutshell. It all starts when a ship was just sitting there, sailing, fishing for a barrel, but just like that, a pirate ship with this old lady as captain attacks this ship to plunder it. In her crew there is also this guy, Kobe, who was stealing a barrel of wine, so the captain gives him a beating. Others from his crew come. They steal the barrel to take it, and when they want to open it, Pumbaa! Out comes our main character, Monkey D. Luffy. He beats the crap out of these guys and befriends Kobe. He tells them that the old lady found him and made him her slave, but his dream is to join the Navy. But they don't give him the balls, so Luffy looks laugh-faced. He goes upstairs and confronts the old motherfucker, but first with a bunch of her minions. So he grabs a pole, stretches a bunch of them out, and throws himself at them, defeating them all. Here they reveal the power of our protagonist, who is basically made of rubber, because he ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which is a devil fruit. Because yes, in One Piece there are devil fruits, each one giving you a different power. In the case of Luffy, our prota, his whole body is made of rubber, so it looks like a crappy power. But believe me, it's not. So he stretches his arm all the way to Narnia and gives the old lady a good punch. Go home, you fat bitch! He blows her to hell and then leaves in a little boat with Kobe in search of his possible new nakama. For those who don't know, nakama means partner in Japanese. This word is used a lot in One Piece, so remember it. Luffy says he wants to be the king of pirates. Yes, he wants to be what the people we saw at the beginning were. He also tells us that he is alone now, but his goal is to get nakamas to find the One Piece. He also tells us that he wants more or less 10 nakamas. And now he goes to see possibly the first nakama he's going to get, the pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro. Kobe tells him that he was captured by the Navy, so he goes over there. They arrive at the Navy fortress and meet Zoro, who is tied up in the middle of nowhere. A little girl goes in to give him some onigiris, but the son of the captain of the sailors arrives, who is a tremendous asshole, because he comes, eats the girls' oligarchs, says they're really ugly, throws them on the floor, steps on them all, the girl starts crying and gets thrown out. This guy locks Zoro up, but not because he captured him. The girl tells us that the guy came to make trouble to a bar, his dog was about to bite her, so Zoro jumped to defend her and shit his parents, this guy. But since he's a fucking whore, this guy tells her that his father is going to execute all the people in the bar if they do anything to him. But he makes her a deal, he won't execute anyone, but in exchange for locking him up for 30 days. He puts up with nothing to eat and he's going to free him. But before that, Zoro ate the onigirito he made for the girl. That is, he's really good people. But well, as I was saying, Luffy enters a bar and finds the little bum saying that he's bored and that tomorrow he's going to execute Zoro, that he's not going to keep his deal. He lied to him, so he grabs Luffy, runs to him and gives him a kick in the face. Thing you're going to see a lot of. In the anime, Luffy sucks 3 hectares of dick. Who the fuck you are? In other words, if he doesn't like you, or if you're a son of a bitch, he'll beat the shit out of you. Here, our protagonist decides to make Zoro into a bed, so he goes to retrieve his katanas. But in between, he throws the statue of the captain of this base, Morgan, so he gets overheated and wants to kill him. He uses this asshole as a hostage, tells him where the katanas are, grabs them, jumps out the window, getting in front of Zoro and Kobe and taking the bullets for them because Morgan and his troops were about to kill them. As Luffy is made of rubber, the bullets don't do anything to him. There they all stand, in shock, because not everyone knows about people with powers and devil fruits. They thought it was a myth, but nope. Zoro asks him what the fuck it is, and he says this. Here we are told that Zoro uses Santurio style, which is using 3 swords at the same time. Here Luffy tells him to decide, either die here in front of the sailors or join him. So here officially, Roronoa Zoro becomes Luffy's first nakama. Morgan first calls Luffy Mugiwara, which in Spanish means straw hat. I mention it because in the anime almost everyone calls him that. So nothing that. Very important fact. So he unties him, stops the sailors in an epic way, and maybe now he tells us that he's going to become the best swordsman in the world. Then Luffy kicks the sailors and gets into a fist fight with Morgan. Or rather, he fists Morgan because he beat him really easy. But the asshole takes Kobe hostage, so Luffy's going to kick him. But Morgan gets up and is about to kill him, but Zoro shows up and makes him shit. Luffy did this on purpose to see how Zoro would act in that situation. Crazy. You don't know how nostalgic and how nice it is to see all this again. I swear, it's crazy, it's beautiful. I tell you because, well, I finished watching One Piece. I mean, I didn't finish it because it didn't end, but I'm up to date. So they go to eat at a restaurant and here Luffy tells us that he is heading towards the Grand Line. Here Kobe explains that in the world there are two oceans, which are divided by the red line, which is this line of land here. But in between, there is a passage between the two oceans. This is called the Grand Line, which is said that Golden Roger, the king of the pirates, hid his treasure there. That's also why a lot of pirates went there, and that's also why it's known as the pirate graveyard, because all the pirates who went there, none of them came back. By the way, pirate in Japanese is kaizoku. I say that because it's refachero and it's said a lot in the anime, so nothing god. Then the sailors arrive and tell Luffy that they are very grateful that they freed him from Morgan, but since they know they are pirates, they can't keep quiet, so they won't call HQ, but they have to fuck off. The problem is that Kobe wants to join the Marines, but they are not going to accept it if they know he was working for that old pirate from before, and also they think he is Nakama, so Kobe can fulfill his dream of joining the Marines. So he asks them, and they accept him as a sailor. So regard, basically a capo Luffy, as always. And yes, I'm summing up for you the best anime ever. Clearly there's going to be some facade stuff going on. So our Proto and Zoro go off on a boat. He almost drops Luffy's straw hat, but Zoro grabs it. Luffy thanks him, and here the anime takes us into Luffy's past, and explains why his hat is so important. He always wanted to be a pirate since he was a kid. In a bar in his town, they used to meet a band of pirates who had him as captain, Junks. He was Luffy's friend, and Luffy ridiculed him because that's all he wants to be. He asked him a bunch of times to take him with him, but Junks turned him down every time. But to me, he turned him down for a reason that we're going to see in a little bit. So, nothing. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what happened in detail, because if I don't, the summary will be like Pero. Some bandits came, they played nice with Junks. Luffy got really angry because he didn't do anything, so he eats a fruit that was in a chest that Junks had brought. This fruit is the Gomu Gomu no Mi, a devil fruit. And that's how Luffy got his power to be a rubber man. Here we are revealed that Akuma no Mi users, i.e. devil fruits, can't swim because the seawater weakens them and they literally drown. So our Prota, now that he has powers, went to look for the guy who humiliated Jans, but he can't. I mean, he's really small, he's normal. The guy was about to kill him, but then Jans and all his crew show up. One of his subordinates shags them all. And this son of a bitch throws a smoke bomb and escapes in a little boat into the ocean. Since it's no longer of any use to Luffy, he throws it into the sea. Just then, a monster appears from under the ocean. It eats this guy and was also going to eat Luffy, but Jans saves him. And just by looking at him, the monster became very scared. It's like he beat him just by looking at him. He intimidated him. Basically, he told him, "Look boss, either you leave or I'll make you sushi, cut it out." He saved him, yes, but in exchange, lose his arm. Then, Yanks and all his crew are about to go on a trip and they will not return to this island. Here, Luffy changed his mind. He doesn't want to join him anymore because he decided to become the king of pirates. So Yanks gives his precious straw hat to Luffy and tells him that when he becomes a great pirate, to find it and give it back to him. Just plain old horse's asshole. I mean, I don't know Boludo, but I love it. I mean, I know you guys saw almost nothing, but me knowing everything that happened with Luffy in these 1,000+ episodes, watching the beginnings again is like, I don't know, Boludo. It's just too hippie. Too much pride, too much nostalgia, too much everything, Boludo. Back to the present day, Luffy was hungry, so he hopped on a bird to hunt it and disappeared. So Zoro was left all alone, but he knows he'll be on dry land in a little while, so he doesn't panic. Luffy falls off the bird in front of this girl, Nami, who was chasing them, these guys. Nami tells us that she is a specialist in robbing pirates and asks Luffy if he wants to join her because she saw how strong he is. Luffy says no, obviously, but Nami invites him to lunch and they start chatting. She tells us that she has the goal of gathering 100 million and tells him that she stole the map of the Grand Line recently. That's why she was being chased. She also tells him that she's a really good navigator, so Luffy gets really excited and invites her to make a bed for him. But she says no because she hates pirates, but then lies to him and says, "Look, if you do what I tell you, it might be your bed." Since Luffy is half pilotudo and also sucks egg on everything, he lets himself be tied up and Nami hands him over to Captain Baggy. He gives her back the map he stole and asks her to make him a bed. He does this with the intention of stealing her treasure and getting the map back. And he is the first person we see, not counting our protagonist who ate a devil's fruit. He is a bad pirate because yes, there are good pirates and there are bad pirates. He grabs a cannon and smells lots and lots of houses. They lock Luffy up and Baggy tells Nami that she shoots Luffy herself to prove her loyalty. But she doesn't, otherwise she would be the same as the pirates. Besides, she's good people. So she hits the guy who set him on fire and puts her hands on the rope to stop the cannon. The pirates jump on her from behind and are going to kill her. But just in time, Zoro appears and saves her and cuts Baggy to pieces. But here they reveal the power of Baggy's devil fruit, which is that he can split his body into parts and make them fly. So since Zoro didn't know this, he doesn't just wait, he stabs him in the back, the turd. So Luffy tells him to escape, that he's going to take care of it. So he grabs Zoro, cannonballs them, and all fucked up from the stabbing charges, Luffy and escapes. Zoro is a character I love, Boludo. I mean, the crazy guy throughout the series. You're going to see him endure inhuman amounts of pain, Boludo. I mean, literally. He's my second favorite character in One Piece. I mean, obviously the first one is Luffy, but Zoro is crazy. So he escapes. And he faints. Because, well, he's repro, but he's not immortal either. So Sora is taken to be healed. And this guy shows up. He's from Baggy's crew, the Beast Tamer, Moji. He breaks Luffy's cage, so he grabs this guy's lion, makes him with Darable Dick. Grabs this guy's neck and slams him to the ground. Nami, seeing that our heroes are good people, decides to help them, but she didn't become their nakama. Sora helps them for the benefit of both of them. Sora starts fighting this guy, a subordinate of Baggy, and he's laying him down because he's hurt, and because the son of a bitch is always hitting him in the wound he has. So he gets tired, he does the devil's cut, and he fucks him up. Then he gets down on the ground because he's rested, but still, GG easy. And now it's Luffy's fight against Baggy. The first fight between two people with devil fruit. They start to fuck each other up, and Baggy cuts his hat a little bit, goes through him, steps on him, and badmouths Yanks. Apparently you know him. They were in the same crew. Their Luffy gets really mad, kicks him, throws his arms back, and sends him flying to bay. GG easy. Their Nami gives the map of the Grand Line to Luffy as a thank you. They become friends, and Nami agrees to get a bed together. So now there are 3 of them, and they already have a navigator, God. They go by boat and arrive at an island where there is a small village. There they meet Usopp. Luffy recognizes him right away because he knows his dad and they look alike. He was one of Shanks' companions and always talked to him about his son. And Usopp goes to the mansion to see this girl who is sick. Usopp is always going to tell her stories of things he did, which are lies, but it makes her day. I'll sum it up for you. Usopp always went to tell her stories, but he's also known in town for being a liar. He was with Luffy really sad because the girl's butler kicked him out and treated him really bad. And all of a sudden, see this butler with a guy who flashes Michael Jackson? I mean literally. ¿Qué onda pa? Pires! 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 He hears the butler say he wants to kill this girl to get her inheritance. He spent 3 years gaining her trust just for that. The one who flashes Michael Jackson is a hypnotist, so he wants him to make her write a will, leaving all her inheritance to him. Yeah. Basically one hell of a son of a bitch. Oh, and the next day, all this is going to happen. Plus a group of pirates are going to attack the village. Usopp is going to warn everybody, but nobody believes him. So our protas are going to help Usopp to stop these pirates. On the other hand, the butler already started killing people in the mansion. Back to the site, the pirates arrive, and Usopp and Nami start to fight them, but they can't. They defeat them both. But just in time, Luffy and Zoro arrive, and they beat them all to death. At the mansion, the girl finds the guy who stabbed the butler, and tells him the whole truth. Luffy goes crazy because he's hypnotized by the guy who flashes Michael Jackson. He fucks everyone, and then he's sent to live by this guy. Zoro gets into a sword fight with these two, but he only has one sword because the other 2 were taken away, and he's not very good with one sword because his style is to use 3. But the butler's son of a bitch arrives, whose name is Kuro, because they were late. So he decided to come and see what the fuck was going on, and he saw that they were losing. So he tells them that he's going to give him 5 minutes to defeat them if he doesn't kill them all. Nami throws the katanas at at Zoro and with just one attack defeats them both. Meanwhile, Nami took the opportunity and went to wake up Luffy. She does it, but then falls to the floor in pain. Because she is badly wounded, she did what she could. There appears the girl they wanted to kill. Kuro is going to kill her, but Usopp gets in front of him, but Kuro is about to kill him. But Luffy's fist appears and he gets it back to the pineapple. Then Kuro stops, gets in a hunchbacked gamer position, and tells the Michael Jackson flashing guy to chase this girl. Zoro grabs Usopp all fucked up, and they go to look for the girl. In the meantime, Luffy goes into serious front mode and they start beating the crap out of each other. Punch goes, rock comes, he rips the blades out of his hand, and here they show us this guy's skill, which is the silent steps that make him unnoticeable. But Luffy gives him a lesson on how to be a pirate and he gets the shit kicked out of him. Kuro gets up and uses his secret power, which makes him ultra fast, so much so that he doesn't even know who he's killing. He makes him kill all his subordinates intentionally and is attacking our protagonist. Luffy concentrates, grabs him in the middle of all that speed, and smashes him to the ground. They keep fighting, Luffy grabs him, stretches his head back, and Pumba, he gives him a dick. And at the same time, he just cuts off a branch that was bothering him, Usopp, and he also gives him shit to the one called Michael Jackson. All the pirates go to hell. All good, alright, and this girl, the one they wanted to kill, as a way of thanking Luffy, he gives them his first pirate ship called Going Merry, and here we are joined by the third Nakama, Usopp. Yep, indeed. And so they set sail across the ocean. While they were sailing, Usopp makes the flag that will represent them throughout the anime, which is God. Taking advantage of the fact that they were all chillin', here they tell us about Zoro's past. In a dojo, they were all there training very quietly, until a stubborn kid challenges the strongest of the dojo. The master makes him fight with his daughter, the strongest in the dojo. Zoro grabs a lot of swords, having the posture he has nowadays, and he had never grabbed a sword before. Obviously, this girl beats him re-easy, so he decides to join the dojo. He trains and trains and trains like crazy, trains literally all day long, and keeps challenging Quina to sparring. He challenged him to 2,000 fights and lost them all, until one day he challenges him to fight 2001 with real swords. He wins anyway, and Quina here confesses to Zoro that she is going to overcome her very soon, because she is a girl and has a limit of strength. Men will always be stronger by genetics. On top of that, her dream is to be the best Chinese sword in the world, so she starts crying, because he is not going to be able to fulfill it. Zoro motivates her and tells her that the two of them are going to become the best swordsmen in the world, and one day they will fight for who is the best. But that is not going to be possible, because a few days later, Quina dies. He died because he stumbled in the cellar while sharpening his sword. Zoro suffers a lot and decides to train extra heavy. He puts weights in his mouth to strengthen it, exercises all his muscles, trains and trains to fulfill Quina's dream and also his own, to be the strongest swordsman in the world. Zoro asks Quina's father, the dojo master, for her katana, to carry it always with him and fulfill his dream. Zoro becomes great and goes on a journey to transform himself into the strongest swordsman in the world, and that's where he meets Luffy. Basically God, Tall Boss Zarete. While they were sailing, they meet some friends of Zoro, Luffy, who was a cook like Nakama, and they tell him where they can find him. So they go to the best restaurant in the world, which is in the middle of the ocean. They arrive, and Luffy comes to fuck the owner of the place because he broke it because of him. And the others, when entering, saw how this guy, who is called Sanji, a cook of the place, made shit to a captain of a ship of the sailors because he threw his food and tried to humiliate him. Besides, he shamuched the girl who came with him, basically a crack. Then comes a spare prisoner, who they throw on the sailor ship asking for food. Everyone refuses him, except Sanji. So Luffy, seeing that Sanji is re-strong and cooks re-good, invites him to be the cook on his ship. To Nakama, he refuses, and later the guy Sanji fed him comes back with his captain because they were also starving, but their captain is Krieg, the strongest pirate in the East Blue, that is to say, of this area. So nobody wants to give him food because this guy is a son of a bitch. I'm sure that if they give him food, he gets up and wants to beat the shit out of them all. But Sanji cooks for him anyway. Krieg eats. When he recovers, he beats the shit out of Sanji. And as expected, he wants to steal the boat, and if they don't give it to him, he's going to kill them all. Sanji did this not because he's an asshole, although he is too, but because he's a chef. If a person is hungry, he has to feed him. No matter what happens next, he also asks them for food for his men, so he gives it to them too. This guy tells us that when he, his captain, and all his crew went into the big line, they met a guy that he single-handedly defeated and sank a fleet of 50 ships. Everyone is shocked because apparently when you cross the big line, there is another level of force. He says that seeing this guy in the eyes instilled a tremendous fear in him, as if a hawk was watching him. That's where the restaurant owner tells us that this guy is known as Hawk Eyes, and he's also the guy Zoro is looking for. He thinks he's feeding his crew, and they're about to attack all the cooks and our heroes, but Hawkeye shows up in a mini ship and cuts Krieg's giant ship in half. Besides, Zoro's acquaintances tell us that Nami left with all the treasure in the boat. That is, she stole them. Yes, she's a big motherfucker. She still said that she had a great time with Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp, but that she has her reasons. So Luffy tells Zoro and Usopp to go look for her, because he wants his navigator. And here they show us up close in his mini-boat with Hawkeye's Mihao, who is one of the most front characters of all One Piece. He is not only the most front of the front, but also the most powerful. He is the strongest swordsman in the world. That's why Zoro is looking for him to defeat him. And so he will become the new strongest swordsman in the world, and he can fulfill his and Queena's dream. So before leaving, he asks Mihao to give him a duel. He tells him that he's weak, that he's repeat, that he doesn't understand the level difference between the two, and that this ocean is the weakest of the four, the S blue, where we are. So he's going to fight him with this little sword, and he tells Zoro that he didn't experience what the real world is like. Basically, he's telling us that there's people who are really strong, and our protas are a bunch of peets who don't know anything. I mean, ultra, mega, good friend. So Zoro throws himself at him. They start fighting, but Mihawk stops all his attacks. Zoro can't believe there's that much difference in power. So he goes on, and on, and on, and on, trying. But with just a tap, Zoro falls to the ground. He gets up, wants to try again, but Mihawk stabs him, and Zoro doesn't back down. He asks him why, and Zoro tells him he'd rather die than lose. Otherwise, he'd be breaking his promise. Hawk-eyed, he realizes how strong Zoro's spirit is, how much willpower he has. So he pulls out the real sword and asks him his name. He tells him that he will remember it. The two attack each other again, and this time Zoro goes all out. But he breaks both of his katanas and shits him. So Zoro turns around for Mihawk to kill him. He cuts him down, but without the intention of killing him, because he liked him and saw that he has a future. And he tells him to get stronger, to know the real world. Just epic, boludo, seriously. Too epic. This shows us what the future holds for Luffy and his entire crew. Cause this is just one guy out of all the strong guys out there. So, it gets exciting. So now it is. Zoro, Usopp, and these two are off to find Nami. Luffy starts to shit subpoenas with the pirates this, because Luffy unintentionally broke a part of the old man's restaurant, so he wants to pay the debt by defeating these guys, and they also want to convince Sanji that this is a bed. Speaking of Sanji, they start kicking the crap out of the pirates, this guy, and here they reveal that Sanji only fights with his legs because he only keeps his hands for cooking. But the guy that Sanji fed him appears, points a gun at the old man's head, and tells Sanji to leave the restaurant or he will kill him. He tells him this because he doesn't want to kill him, but Sanji says no way before they kill him, and he is not going to let him destroy the restaurant either. He asks him why he does all this, and here they tell us the story of Sanji and the old man. Sanji was really little and cooked on a ship until a pirate ship that came from the Grand Line, whose captain is the old man, appears to steal everything from the ship where Sanji is. So Sanji grabs a knife and tells him, "What do you think, asshole? Do you think I am going to let myself be killed by some shitty pirates? You're wrong. I'm not going to die before fulfilling my dream." Which is to know the All Blue. The All Blue is the union of 4 oceans. It is a cook's paradise, because there you can find all the species of the world mixed together. Everyone laughs because it is a myth. But just in time comes a really strong storm. A wave comes and takes Sanji to the ocean. The old captain of the pirate crew that attacked them jumps into the water to save him. But when he was going down, his leg gets stuck between the pieces of the ship that was breaking because of the storm. And if he doesn't free himself quickly, Sanji will die. So he cuts off his leg to save Sanji. When they wake up, they are both on a mini rocky island in the middle of the ocean. No animals, no vegetation, basically no food at all. So the old geezer gives Sanji a bag of food, which is his ration, and he gets a much bigger bag of food because, well, he's an adult and needs more food. He also tells him to go to the other side of the island to wait for a boat to come. Until one comes, they are not going to speak to each other. So Sanji rations what little food he has for 20-something days. Those days go by and Sanji is skinny and overbleeding. He almost can't take it anymore. So he grabs a knife and goes to the old man to steal some food because he has a lot of food. So he goes and breaks open the bag and out falls all the gold, jewels, diamonds, basically a lot of treasures, but no food. There he realizes that the old man actually gave him all the food he had just for himself. He goes to see him and he's almost dead. I mean, literally he's in the bones. Crying, she asks him why he saved him, why he is doing all this for him, and he answers because he has the same dream as him. So he tells her that he leaves his dream for him, that someday he should go to the Grand Line and find him, because he's most likely out there. That's also where he came up with the idea of putting a restaurant in the middle of the ocean, because he's not going to be able to be a pirate without a leg anymore. He basically gave up being an ultra-strong, successful pirate. He gave up his dreams, his nakamas, his leg, everything to save Sanji. And just in the distance, a ship finally appears. Now, do you understand why Sanji would die for the old man? Back to the present. The guy who was aiming at the old man regrets, throws the gun away, and attacks his own partner. But he starts beating the shit out of Sanji because he's going to kill him with his own hands. So they start to fight. The two of them fight. But this guy makes him shit and beats him. Because Sanji was already weak because he let himself be beaten by the iron guy. So when he is about to kill him, he starts crying and doesn't do it. Because he can't kill the person who saved his life and all his crew. So Krieg gets mad and uses a poisonous gas. Luffy gets masks for Sanji and this guy who is called Jin. But he is left with nothing. Well, or so he thought, because one appeared in front of him. When he passed the gas, he realizes that Gin took off his mask to give it to him. He's a crazy guy. He's a real good guy. Then Luffy gets really hot. He runs away, gets shot a lot, jumps. Krieg covers himself with a spiked shield, and Luffy gets 3.5 balls and hits him with a kick. The guy gets up, Luffy knocks him down again. The guy takes out a spear that explodes. Luffy eats 4 explosions of this spear, making him shit, but he manages to break the 5th one because he wasn't eating it just because. That is to say, the spear. He was breaking it little by little. And now he stretches his arm and hits him in the abdomen. He does it again and breaks his armor. He does it again and breaks it completely. He rolls him up with his legs, makes a whirlpool and smashes him, making him ultra dick against the floor, and thus beating him. Sanji saves him because Luffy fell into the water. Jin survives the poison, and basically everything is fine. Everything is fine. Well, now, I want to explain something that maybe if you don't watch the anime you don't understand. Luffy is a person with an extremely strong will. That is, if he has a goal, he achieves it. And it's not that he looks for an easy way. I don't go for a little corner. No, just when he lowers his hand and I hit him with a punch. No, I mean you have an armor. It's like, for example, you are locked in a room and it doesn't have doors. If you say, how do I get out? Luffy grabs and says, no, I'm not going to grab a tool and break the wall. No, the madman grabs the pineapple, starts punching the wall until he breaks it and escapes. In other words, this madman has an impressive amount of balls. That's why One Piece is so epic. Oh, and on the other hand, there's Nami on the boat, crying because she wants to see our heroes again. And she's also left wanting to be his nakama. And speaking of nakamas, Sanji officially becomes Luffy's ship's cook. That is, he is his 4th nakama. While they were going to look for Nami, the guy who had left with Zoro came to guide them, and he tells us several things. He tells us that in the world there are 7 Shichibukais. These are very powerful pirates who are allies of the sailors. The pirates give him a part of the treasures they get in exchange for them not to pursue him, and let them do whatever they want. Yes, the sailors are very corrupt. That is, not all of them, but quite a few are. Basically, they get it. Hawkeye Mihawk is a Shichibukai, and wherever they go now is the base of another Jijibukai, Arlong, the Triton. He is an extremely strong pirate who went to the Grand Line and back. He also has a gigantic crew of Tritons who are already genetically 10 times stronger than humans. Plus, they swim really fast and can breathe underwater. They're going this way because Nami is going that way. Why? Because Nami happens to be an Anakama of theirs. She steals from other pirates to collect money and give it all to Arlong. Just in comes Zoro, Usopp, and this guy. These two leave Zoro alone because they are tall shits. A Triton captures him and takes him to Arlong. And here he sees Nami, and she tells us that it was all a lie, that he's not really an Anakama, and explains what I already explained to him. So Zoro, bound hand and foot, jumps into the water. If no one saves him, he's going to die. Then Nami jumps into the water and rescues him. Zoro did this on purpose, to know if he was telling the truth or not. That is, if he really doesn't consider them as Anakamas. Which clearly, with what he did, we realized that he requires them. So everything he said was to deceive Arlong, to make him believe that they're really just another pirate he stole from, but they're not. Arlong goes to visit a village because there's a guy who has weapons, and he doesn't like that because it's a threat to him. Here, this girl named Nohiko, who is Nami's half-sister, met Usopp when he escaped and saved him. She tells us that Arlong makes all the villages pay taxes, and if one person doesn't pay him, he destroys the whole village. He's a son of a bitch, and on top of that, he's a racist. He despises humans. I was about to kill this guy, but Usopp saves him. On the other hand, Nami locked Zoro up, but taking advantage of Arlong leaving, she freed him and told him to escape. But we already know how Zoro is. He's not going to escape. So he beat the crap out of Arlong's minions and sat on his throne. Basically, he gives a shit about everything Boruto. Oh, and Nami tells us that all her people hate her for joining Arlong, but she joined him and steals pirates to get to 100 million so she can buy his village, thus freeing them from Arlong's rule. That's why she did everything she did. Because he wants to save his people. One of Arlong's subordinates captured Usopp and is going to kill him. But as Arlong's crew suspects Nami because she saved Zoro, they have her kill him to check his loyalty. She stabs Usopp and throws him into the sea. All of this was seen by this guy. On the other hand, Luffy, Sanji, and this guy arrive at the same island and meet Zoro. This guy arrives and tells them that Usopp is dead, or so they thought, because Usopp shows up safe and sound. They arrive with our Protoss and tell us what really happened, that Nami didn't stab him, she stabbed her own hand pretending to kill him because if she hadn't, Arlong would have killed him. That is to say, Nami does consider them as Nakama, but she can't say it because otherwise Arlong would kill her and all her people. And here we are also shown how Nami confesses to her stepsister that she wanted to forget them, but she can't, because for the first time in her life she was happy and even forgot what she had to do. She would love to be Luffy's Nakama and the others, but she can't. And here Nohiko tells us about Nami's past. Nami and Aisha were orphans until they were found by this girl, Belmir, who is a former Marine. She decided to take care of them, but they are quite poor. A lot of times she didn't eat so that Nami and not Hiko would eat. Since she was a little girl, Nami stole books to learn about navigation and map making. So much so that at a very young age she already made a map, which is very well done. And her dream is to someday travel the entire ocean to make maps of the whole world. They were poor, yes, but they were happy. Everything was going great until Arlo's crew arrives and tells everyone to pay taxes, or else he'll kill them. 100,000 per adult and 50,000 per child per month. Everyone pays him, but Belmir doesn't have that kind of money. It only goes to 100,000, that's her or Nami no Hiko. It pays her not to die to her two daughters, so Arlong kills her. Arlong saw the map that Nami made, and as he saw that it was really well done, he took her to work with him. There, Nami tattooed Arlong's logo, and made him a deal to buy his village for 100 million. It took him 8 years, but he's almost there. He is only 7 million short, which he gets right away. But the Navy comes to steal all the money he has. But how do they know he has this money? Because Arlong sent them. Indeed, he never intended to make good on his deal. So all these 8 years of Nami collecting this money were useless. Dumbass, even I was pissed off. They can't be such scumbags. The citizens decide to go fight Arlong, even though they know they're going to die. Nami tried to stop them. She even told them she's going to collect the money back. But they got tired and they don't want to leave everything in Nami's hands. So they're going to go anyway. Nami starts crying, stabs herself 80 times in Arlong's tattoo, and there appears Luffy. Nami crying asks him to please help her. And he puts his hat on her and says this. So Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp go to fuck Arlong's motherfucker up. So they go, Luffy breaks down their door, walks up to them, and backhanded Arlong. In front of everyone, knocking him into the shit. Sanji shits kicks his subordinates, they call a sea monster. Luffy sticks his feet in the floor, twists all over. The thing grabs him and starts spinning around, defeating all the subordinates and sending him to Narnia. Then Arlong breaks the floor where Luffy was pinned and throws him into the ocean. But there are still the 3 strongest of Arlong's army, so Zoro starts fighting against this octopus, Sanchi against this Tuberon, and Usopp against this thing. But they have to defeat it fast to go save Luffy, or else he's gonna die. But these guys are looking to waste time on purpose, so this old guy and Nami's sister go to rescue Luffy. Zoro didn't fully heal the wound that Hawkeye gave him, so he passes out from the fever and pain. But still, all shitty, he's not gonna lose. He gets up, asks for the 2 swords from the 2 of them, because he lost both of his, and cuts it all up. They sit down to shit with 2 swords. He just cuts their swords, makes a tornado, throws him in the air, and beats him. Sanji jumps into the water to save Luffy. He sees that this guy is doing that thing with his hand that I don't remember what it's called now, but here they're watching it, and they throw his head out of the ocean so he can breathe, so it's all good. But the newts in the water are much stronger, so this guy slaps the shit out of him. Then they come out of the water and Sanji kicks the shit out of him and makes him shit. Meanwhile, Usopp was running around and fighting shitty, but decides to take it seriously because he can't be a shitty guy forever. Now he's a pirate, so he throws a bottle of sake at him, breaks it, then throws a fireball at him, sets him on fire and hammers him to death. On the other hand, Zoro tells Sanji that he's going to get him 30 seconds. In that time, he has to break the stone that has Luffy trapping him. So he does. But Arlong makes him shit. Let's remember that he has a mortal wound. He literally shouldn't have to be alive. I say this so you understand that Zoro is re-strong. Sanji breaks Luffy's rock, flies out, saves Zoro, and falls. He headbutts him and begins to beat him to a pulp. Luffy grabs some swords, uses them to get close, punches him in the teeth, breaks them, although they regenerate. He pulls out 2 dentures and starts using them as weapons. He bites his elbow and Luffy takes the pain away, but positions himself and smashes him to the ground. Arnon gets up, dives into the water, which is much faster there, and comes out with a repower, but Luffy dodges it. He does it again, dodges it again, dodges it again, dodges it again, and again until he hits him. He keeps doing it. Luffy kicks him again. Arnon gets up really angry, grabs a sword, and starts chasing him all the way to the top of Arlon's base. Here this guy tells him that Nami is going to be his forever, because she's a genius. There's no one like her. He also tells Luffy that he's not going to be able to use her better than him. And Luffy says... That's when Luffy starts destroying the whole room she's in, because that's where Arlon locked her up to make her make lots and lots of maps for him. She hates that room. When Nami sees this, reacts like this. So Luffy stretches his leg up, and with everything he hits Arlong's head, breaking all the weights all the way, and destroying the whole base of him. Literally fucking him up, and putting an end to the suffering of all of Nami's people, and freeing them all. Because yes, he defeated him. He stands up from the rubble all replica, and says this. People, whoever doesn't like One Piece is either because they never watched it, literally. Otherwise, it's impossible not to like it. It is literally the best anime in the world. So all the citizens celebrate, Luffy gets lifted up, Nami gives him his hat back, and this little Navy asshole who stole Nami's money gets it back because he got shit on by his parents. This same guy, upon arriving at the Marine base, calls headquarters and tells them about Luffy's crew. Straw Hats, because they are religious and they have to be careful with them, so he wants to put a bounty on his head. So they eat, they drink, they keep partying, and Nami is definitely united with Monokama. Oh, and the 100 million she collected, she left to the villagers. Oh, for 2, she covered up Arlong's tattoo with a new one. Here we are shown how the top brass of the Marines had a meeting to just report on Luffy, because his crew defeated Baggy with a 15 million bounty, Krieg 17 million, and Arlong with 20 million bounty. So they made a sign with his name on it, and their first price on his head is 30 million, which is a record. And here Luffy became famous all over the world. He was seen by this girl, by Kobe, by Morgan, by the restaurant people, by basically everybody. No, they were all there celebrating happily, and then this little punk comes to try to capture him. They get beaten up, and on the other hand, they show us how Hawkeye Mihawk meets Johns and his crew. To show them Luffy's bounty poster, our protas head to Lugtown, which is the town known as the beginning and the end, because this town is where Goldie Roger, the Pirate King, was born and died. Luffy is out there looking for the platform where Goldie Roger was executed, and he meets this guy, Captain Smoker, who is one of the strongest members of the sailors, and he also eats a devil fruit. He's fairly looking for Luffy, but he doesn't know his face, so Luffy asked him where the execution platform is, and he points him out. On the other side, Usopp is buying stuff to fight, Zoro wants to buy 2 new katanas, and Sanji is chabbing. Luffy finds the execution platform, but Smoker realized he's Monk AG Luffy, so they start shitting their daddies, but our prota flies off. Returning to Zoro's side, he bought 2 cursed swords. Those who use these swords always die for an unknown reason, so Zoro throws the sword in the air and puts his arm to see if the sword will choose him. And sure enough, then Luffy returns to the execution platform and climbs up to see what the Pirate King saw before he died. That's when Baggy appears, and this girl, who is the fat old woman from the beginning, only now she ate a devil's fruit and looks like this. They join forces to defeat our main character, because they have a grudge against him. So they put a plank on his neck and hands, and Baggy goes to execute Luffy in the same place where Goldie Roger, the Pirate King, died. A whole lot of people gathered to watch the execution, and at the same time, the day that was sunny turned cloudy and stormy. It's like the sky knew what was going to happen. So Luffy says this: That's when Zoro and Sanji show up to save him, but they're not gonna make it in time, so Luffy says this. And when they were about to kill him, a lightning bolt falls from the sky on the execution platform, impregnating it with fire, knocking it to the ground, and saving Luffy. Coincidence? Fate? I don't know. But apparently someone or something doesn't want Luffy to die. Everyone is shocked because it literally doesn't make sense. It was sunny, it turned stormy out of nowhere, and a lightning bolt saved his life. Aka Smoker tells us that no one had ever smiled while they were listening to him. Only one person, Goldie Roger. And he says that Luffy smiled the same way he did when he died. So with all the weather raining, the sailors couldn't destroy the Mugiwara's ship because their gunpowder was destroyed by the rain. Basically, it all worked out well for Luffy, so our protas run to his ship. Meanwhile, Smoker captures Baggy and this girl. We also get the reveal of Smoker's devil fruit ability, the Moku Moku no Min, which is that his entire body is made of smoke, and he can manipulate it however he wants. Then he chases Luffy and gets in a fist fight. Or rather, Smoker fights him with fists, because Luffy can't hurt him. Being made of smoke, all the blows, they break through it. Yes, his fruit is broken. So Luffy can't do anything, he's captured. Before he gives him the final blow, he's stopped by this guy, creates a wind out of the Concha de la Lora, and blows them all away, freeing Luffy. He meets up with the others, and they escape on the Going Merry. This guy's name is Dragon. He also appeared on the day they executed Goldie Roger, the Pirate King. But now you may be wondering, why did he save Luffy? We'll see that in the next summaries, because that's how One Piece ends the saga of S Blue Samurai.